Good afternoon, RC researchers. So today's videos will talk with you about very hot topic, proportional weighting. Everyone who uses survey to collect information has to embrace for missingness or non-responsiveness in their return. So there are two types of missing values. So the first type will be non-responsiveness, where participant didn't answer any of your survey questions. So you have a sampling frame of 100. You send 100 invitation for your survey to fill up for participant to fill up your survey, and you got 50% of returned your survey. So you have 50% response rate. Um, And among those 50%, some of them have filled some questions, and some of them have filled the whole questionnaire. So those who have filled some of the question will have partial missingness. And proportional weighting is actually deal more with the response rate um, because it's actually match those who have participated, their criteria, their characteristic, to the sampling frame, just to make sure that you have a representative scores and information out of your survey. So, for example, if you run a survey for patients who have gone into the surgical department, and only those, and you send the survey, for example, in the first week after discharge, only those who have been in a very relatively higher um physical or mental well-being state will actually have the chance to run the survey and read the survey and fill it up for you. And those who have been in more critical condition, they are in a lot of pain, they will likely not to answer your survey. So when you got your response rates about the survey, especially it's about pain, their pain level, you will see that it is biased towards a higher physical and mental state, which is going to give you a very bad results. Like it's going to be biased results. Similar for the relational coordination survey. So for those of you who are first comer to relational coordination tool, it's a seven question that measure communication and evaluate them on their frequency, their timeliness, their accuracy, and the characteristic of being problem solving. And three questions that evaluate relationship based are they construed over shared goals, shared knowledge, and mutual respect. So we have seven questions, and that actually evaluate the relationship between different roles, different work groups in a particular site or in a particular region context. So it is really important that those who have answered the survey match those who are invited. So let me pull up an example from the relational uh, analytic guidelines for analysis book. And this is, in brief, the equation for survey proportional weight calculation. So it practically shows you the percent of the total population, or in our case, all of us using surveys will be the sampling frame over the actual participation percent of the respondent within each of the roles, within each of the work groups. And this is a very simple example of what to expect. So we have 35 in our sampling frame. In a clinic, we have 5 doctors, we have 20 nurses, and we have 10 medical assistants. So I have sent the survey for 35 people. And I, if it is an ideal situation, I will have 14% of my respondent will be doctors, 57% will be nurses, and 29% should be medical assistants. But the reality is different. So out of the 5 doctors that I have invited, only 3 answered the survey. And out of the 20 nurses that I have sent the survey to, only 15 answered. And out of the 10 um, medical assistants that I've sent the survey to, 7 did answer. So out of the 35 in my sampling frame, I got 25 questionnaire back. So it's really interesting to see what the weight's going to be based on this variation. So we did calculated the percentage of each role to the total sampling frame number. And you can see here, we do the same for the actual participants. So we have 3 doctors out of 25. It's almost 12%. And we have 15 out of the 25. It's almost 60%. And 7 out of the 25 is almost 28%. So comparing the expected and the actual, they are really relatively similar. Like it's not that a big of difference. Like I aimed for 14%, I got 12% of the doctors. That's amazing. As I got 12% out of my sample or doctor, while I expected 14%. So this is really good example. That's um, there is not huge variation between those who have been invited and those who have responded to my survey. So, and you can see that it is translated in the proportional weight. So almost all of the weight runs around 1. There is not a huge number um, uh, like it is the actual mean. Like you can see that there are relatively runs around them ones like 1.19, 0.95, 0.2. So this is like not, I would not, for example, multiply it by 2 or by 3. It just, it's exactly like multiplying the scores to almost 1, just 1. And this is based on filling this equation. And you can read more about it in the book, Relational Analytic. And now I will shift to our Stata example and see if this ideal example is actually mirror the sample data set that is provided to you in the website, in the RC Help Desk website. So I will just open the syntax file for generate your survey weights. And yes, I will walk you quickly through the steps. So first, this is also a personal preference. I don't like working with string variables. I like to work with a numerical variable. It's easier. Sometimes I have to do the quotation marks to make sure this data understand it is a string, not numerical. So it takes an extra step to do with data. So I would like, it's easier for me at the beginning in the cleaning to actually encode the work group variables into numerical instead of string. And here we are running this one. And then I would always check my results by comparing the original variable to the new created variable. And you can see here, because it is a labeled encode and labeled, you can see they actually took the string name, the writing of this and the variable, the string variable, and label it for the new numerical variable. And you can see I have 27 doctors. There are one. Usually I just need to have like, there is only one that is filling. So 35, 64, 43, and 9. Perfect. And to better understand the variable is always when you want to understand a new variable, their missingness, their distribution, you always use the codebook code to run on Stata. And you can see here that I have 5 roles in my sampling frame. And because this is all about my sampling frame, this is based on the work group, which I have the perfect sample frame for the RC. Please do see the first video, uh, how to navigate your RC dataset to better be acquainted with what should I expect here. So this is my sampling frame, and you can see I have 178 invitation sent. 27 were sent to doctors, 35 were sent to front desk operator, and 64 for a lab technician, 43 for physician's assistants, and 9 for practice or clinic managers. This is all sampling frame. Now let's walk a little bit step by step on how to calculate the proportional weight for the sampling frame. So I need to decipher the difference between those who have participated in my sample and those who have filled the RC survey, the whole survey, and those who did not. So I have to create a new variable called number of missing, and it's a row mean. It's just the row mean of missingness, like how many of them have been missing per row for your data set. And I have calculated the variable. So again, I always check my work, and now I need to do the distribution. So here we are. These are zero missing, mean they have completed the whole RC survey questions. And I have the second column is actually about those who have missed the whole survey, missed the whole 42 question of the RC survey that I have distributed to them. And you can see doctors, I have 14 who have answered out of the 27. Front desk, I have 28 out of the 35. Lab technician, I have 46 out of the 64. Physician assistant are 28 for this 40 out of 43. And practice manager, all of 9 that I have invited actually participated in my survey. So that's pretty amazing. Right, and then let's go fill in the equation. So it's exactly like in the book. We will go and create every component of the equation separately. Um, so first, I would like to know what is the total number in my sampling frame, and you can know it because like you have been seeing it in the cookbook. It's like 178, but I needed to have it in a separate variable because I'm calculating the weights per participant, not for the whole um, the weight it is for participant based on their work groups and the participation of these work groups in the survey. So I will show you by the end the new variable that I've created and how they are uh, actual there. It's always very interesting to see what data you added by creating this code and creating those variables. So here we are. I have created a new variable called total number of participants invited, and I just need to check, and it is 178. 178 in every observation. And then I will have to know to, to create a new variable, which is how many participants are invited per role. This is all in the sampling frame, the nominator on my equation. And here I'm doing it by work group. And then I will go into the denominator. And first, I have to know how many respondents overall across all of the roles have responded to my survey. See that? And then I will do summary. SUM is summary in statistics in Stata. It's not summation, it's actually summary. So you will see I have 25 people who have answered the survey, have actually responded to the survey out of 178 invited. It's actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty decent. For reality, I have run surveys so many times. You never have this huge, amazing response rate, by the way. Maybe this is because of the practice manager are all very motivated. They all answer the survey, so they must have uh, encouraged others to participate as well. And then I will go and calculate how many participants actually responded in each of the roles, right? And finally, I will run the whole equation, generate proportional weight, which is actually the total number of participants invited per role over the total number of participants invited across all roles divided by the percentage of total respondents of participants um, per role over total response rate. total responses across all roles, by all roles. And I have to run wait, generated. Perfect. And I have just like this is like there is an explanation for each of the equation. If you would like to run the codes directly, you already got it. You can have that as well without the explanatory formulas. And then I always check my work, and here I am. So you can see that the weights for the doctors are 135. So I actually boosted the numbers or the scores from the doctors' reviews by almost 35%. And for the managers who have 100% response rate, I have to deduce their effects on the total score by almost 30%. And as I promised, I like you to see. So this is actually the Excel sheet. It's exactly the Excel sheet. You can see people who have been missing. They didn't answer the survey, and people who have answered the survey are from different work groups. You can see this is the responses, and let's go and see the new variable that we have created. So this is the work group variable in numerical form, and you can see the difference by because it's in blue color. Stata will make it blue color because it's a labeled numerical. And there is the number of missingness. So this participant number one, is actually missing the whole survey, 42 question. And participant number 16 actually have answered the whole survey, which is pretty decent. And you can see that total invited is exactly the same across everybody. We have invited 178, and it is exact number for every participant per role. And when you go in to have the total invited by role, they actually differ by role. So you will have, for example, this is 64 lab technician because there are 64 lab technician invited. And physician assistant, you have 43 physician assistant invited. And then for those who did not answer the survey, response rate, total responsiveness, and roles total responsiveness are actually missing. The weights are missing because they are not calculated with us. They are not included in our survey. So you only get responses, variables, and weight and proportional weight for those who actually participated because we want to boost or downside or deduce their responses um, to have a more accurate results. And you can see here, for example, for front desk, uh, we have total response rate of 125, and among this specific group, we have total response rate of 28 out of the 35, and we only have to deduce their participation by about 13%. Their rate is 0.87 or 88. And you can see this is for the rest of my data sets for the whole 178. So I hope that will be clarify it, the proportional weight. Before I leave you, I have one thing that I would like to add. There are in very rare occasion where you will have to do custom weighting, where there is a specific role that is more important than others based on your conceptual understanding of the problem, based on your evaluation of the work sites, based on your description, your understanding of the work process. So proportional weight is actually your sampling, match your sampling frame. But sometimes sampling frame contradicts your conceptual understanding. Like, yes, I have 9 manager, which is actually pretty low across 120, 178 invitation sent, but they are essential. Their voices, their opinion is actually the most detrimental in the work process. So I would like to give them more voice. I would like to give them more power. So I will actually manually adjust the weights to reflect on the conceptual um, power that is given to them by my understanding of the work process. So I will have a very separate video describing that. I just wanted to put it out there for you guys to know about this. It is an option, and I have included the syntax as well in this do file. But later on, I will have that specific video about how you can create your custom weights uh, to match your conceptual framework or understanding of the website. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please review the first wave on how to navigate your RC dataset. And in the next video, I will explain to you how to create the dimension scores and create the index and validate it. So it is pretty exciting to me. And always before you go, always save your data. Always save your data, right? Thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to our next video. Bye bye.